What's up guys, Eric here. I'm going to go over some home brewing for preppers. This kit right here is called the Mr. Beer Kit. Alright, it is the simplest form of home brewing that you can do. But the thing about this stuff is, like this right here is called Classic American Light. Now, it expires August 2015 and it's January 2014 right now, so it's good for about 20 months. And everything is contained in here that you need to brew. Alright. So you have the malt extract, which also has the hops in it too, so it has the sugar for the yeast and it has the flavoring. And underneath the top cap, it has the yeast packet right there. So pretty much all you do is you sanitize everything, and you're going to boil some water, you're going to mix up the hop malt extract with the water, and then you're going to fill water into the keg, or the fermenter, and you let it sit for 2 weeks, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you can make mac and cheese, you can make homebrew beer with this system. So, a couple different flavors today. This, like I said, this is Classic American Light, and this is the Aztec Mexican Cerveza, and I'm actually making this one today. So, now the reason I say this is for preppers is because everything is self-contained, and it's ridiculously easy to use. This can right here is good for 20 months. So it'll sit on a shelf, cool, dark place, just like anything else you got that's canned, and then it'll still be good when it comes to crack it open. And like I said, this is the simplest form of home brewing beer. I do plan on going more in depth with it. My buddy does all grains, which is a fairly intense setup. It takes about 8 hours to brew 5 gallons of beer. And then eventually I'd like to learn how to do other forms of alcohol, such as mead, which is also pretty easy too, and eventually wine. So I got the keg filled up about halfway with warm water. I'm going to take my sanitizing agent, and then I'm going to add it right into the keg and shake it up. You want to make sure you want to cover all surfaces. What you're trying to do is just trying to sanitize and get rid of any yeast or anything that's going to give you off flavors. So shake it up. The airlock is built into the lid, so when you turn it upside down, you can see some water drip out. It's perfectly normal. And then what I do is I set it back up and I run through the spout. Get some in there, and then let it sit. And then we'll move on to the next step while this is sanitizing. I'm going to be taking the instruments here that I'm going to be using, which are ridiculously a can opener or spoon. I'm going to sanitize the plates. And this stuff here is no rinse, so once you sanitize it, just let it air dry, and anything that's left behind will just help with the fermentation process with the yeast. As you can see here, I got the can of HME and some hot water. You try and get all of the HME out of the can. That way you have the full effect and the full flavor of the beer. So we're going to let that sit for about 5-10 minutes, start to loosen up, and then we'll start boiling the water and start mixing them together. Alright, you can see there's some suds and foam left behind. Perfectly normal with the stuff I'm using. And you're going to grab your cold water, because you're trying to absorb some of the shock from the keg when you add the hot HME in. You can fill it up to the 4-quart line. Next, we're going to take 4 cups of water and add it to the pot. And you can use just a regular pot. You don't have to have a big pot like this one. Standard kitchen pot that'll hold 4 cups will work. Well, we got the water warming up here. You want to get it to a boil, and then you're going to cut the water off, and then you're going to stir the HME in. But this can right here will make 2 gallons of beer. They've got over 200 different recipes you can do, and like I said, this is the cheapest one. I think that's about $16 for 2 gallons, plus shipping of course. And makes 2 gallons. You let it sit. The Mr. Beer says you let it sit for 2 weeks in the fermenter, 2 weeks in the bottles. But a lot of people I've talked to said you let it sit for 3 and 3, and you get a better tasting beer out of it. Take it out of the hot water, so that way, you know, put in the water so we can loosen up the HME. And you're gonna open it. It's gonna look like syrup almost when you pour it in. And there you can see This is the HME hopped malt extract. It's got everything you need in it. Get the water to a boil, stir it in, and then after it's stirred in, we're going to add it to the cold water here. Trying to get it, like I said, between 65 and 75, and then we're going to top it off to the 8.5 liter mark, or 8.5 quart mark, with more water. And then, like I said, you want it to be between that temperature range when you throw the yeast in. So the water is done boiling, took it off the heat, and we're going to add the HME. Now you want to stir this in slowly, so you don't want it to burn. Alright, so we got the keg here with cold water, 4 quarts. And we're going to take our wort, I believe it's called now, unfermented beer, and we're going to pour it into the keg. We're going to take some water, top it off to 8.5 quarts. On the back here it's got the printout, so that way you can see how much water you're adding in. Alright, so move the keg over to where I'm going to let it ferment for 2 weeks. This one is an Oktoberfest I've had here for about 2 weeks. I'm going to let it go another week before I bottle it. But thing here is you want to keep a consistent temperature between, Mr. Beer says 68 and 76. A lot of people who do other types of homebrewing say between 62 and 70, but keep your room temperature, you'll be alright. And I'm going to add the yeast in here, the final step. And because I do have all that bubbles, I'm just going to give it a little stir. And that's it. Put the cap on it, let it sit for 2 weeks, and then I'll check on back when I bottle it.